Alright guys, I just wanted to go over quickly the moon phases. As I looked over the review questions that I sent out, I noticed that people were having some problems with this, and I did expect that, so I just kind of want to go over this and give you a day today. I made a worksheet here where we will use it to really practice figuring out what phase of the moon we're looking at each position. And let's start right here. This is the typical picture that you get on your Regents questions for the phases of the moon. And remember, one thing I noticed in the questions I've looked at so far is people got it a little confused what causes the phases of the moon. Just look at this diagram here. Earth is in the middle, and the moon is going around Earth. That is actually what causes the phases of the moon's revolution around the Earth. So try not to get that confused. That is a commonly asked question on the Regents. Also common is to figure out the phases, and the four phases that I always start with. Here the sun is on the right, and in, I would say, probably 80 to 90% of the questions, the sun is on the right. So let's use this picture here, and you're on Earth. And remember, I told you got a picture like you're standing on Earth. Kind of draw a little arrow off Earth, the position you're looking to find, and position 1, 3, 5, and 7 are a good starting spot. So I drew the arrow. Now remember, I'm behind the mic here, so or the camera. What I want you to do is kind of turn the page when you draw that arrow, so you have the moon, the Earth, kind of you're standing on it, and you want the arrow to point at the moon from you, looking at it. And remember, you cannot see the outside part of this circle, the outer part. So you got to cover the half of the moon that you can't see, and then say to yourself, well, the half of the moon that I can see, how much looks lit up? And you can see here at position 1, it is completely dark. So with that said, on this chart here, what I would do is I would just kind of make it to show that this would be a new moon. So you know what, I'm not doing it on the chart, but position 1 here would be a new moon. That's what it would look like. That's called a new moon. Okay, now I said a good place to go is position 3. So I'm going to draw my arrow here, and this looks pretty good, right? Because I'm standing on Earth, the arrow's pointing at the moon. You can see it's from my eye at the moon. I'm going to cover it. Remember, I told you also one of the first things you should do is connect these arrows. It's showing you how the moon is moving around Earth, but you're slicing the moon in half when you complete this circle. So now I'm going to cover the half of the moon I can't see, and I say to myself, what percentage does it look like I can see? And it looks to me like it's 50% dark, 50% light, and it will light on the right. So here this would look like exactly what we're looking at, a half moon lit up on the right. Okay, now I said position 5 is a good place to go. Here's the sun, here's the Earth, here's the moon. I'm going to continue my arrows, just slice the moon in half, like that. I'm going to go all the way around, by the way. And there we go. Okay, and I'm going to cover the half of the moon that we don't see, which is on the outer part of this circle, just like that. And now looking from Earth at the moon, I don't even need to turn my page because, you know what? Is anything dark here? It is not. So therefore this would look to us like a full moon. It looks fully lit up. Even though it's only half, it does look fully lit up. So this is a full moon. Okay, and then here's the tricky part. Now let's go down here. Earth looking at the moon. Now you could see I'm behind here, behind the camera. The arrow is pointing at me, but I want to make it so I'm looking at the moon. So I got to turn my page around. So now I'm looking from Earth at the moon, and I'm going to cover the side that I don't see. And again, it looks like it's 50-50, and it looks like it's lit up on the left hand side, right? That's the lit side, so the left hand side. So this would be another half moon, but it's lit up on the left hand side. And here's why I say it's tricky. So it's lit up on the left hand side. A lot of people would pick the choice in multiple choice that looks exactly like this, but again, we had to turn the page around because we wanted to look from the Earth to the moon. So now it's lit up on the left hand side. Alright, so that's how you figure out 1, 3, 5, and 7. And then remember, this is waxing. So we start with a new moon. It takes 27.3 days for the moon to do a full cycle around Earth, but the phases take 29.5 days. Alright, so I just want to quickly show you how to figure out these positions in between, and then you should be pretty much set for the worksheet that you're going to do today. So look at position 2. Position 2, I draw my arrow from Earth to moon. I'm just going to turn my page so I'm looking from Earth at the moon. That looks pretty good. I'm going to cover the outer part of the circle that I don't see. And now, doesn't it look like here most of the moon is dark and it will light a little bit on the right? So remember, in the waxing phase, when you start from a new moon at the beginning of the month, you then will start to light on the right. And it's just a sliver, that we call that the crescent, right? So there we go. There's your crescent moon. I'm just going to draw it out for you. And it's a little bit light on the right. Okay, that's a crescent. And then I'm just gonna, you could do position 4 on your own. Let's go to position, here's the full moon. Let's go to position 6. Okay, and again, I gotta draw an arrow, and this doesn't really work for me, right? I gotta turn my page around because I want to look when the arrow is pointing at the moon. I keep emphasizing that because that's where most people go wrong. Okay, so here we go. Now it looks pretty good, right? I'm here on Earth. I'm looking at the moon. I'm going to cover the outer part of the circle that I don't see. And here you can see that it looks mostly lit up, and it's mostly lit on the left. Okay, so at position 6 down here, you would have mostly lit up on the left. So a little sliver filled in on the right, something like that maybe. And that would be called, after the full moon, that's called the old gibbous. And then, you know what, let's just go to position 8 while we're at it. Why not? Alright, here we go. Boom, boom. I'm not looking from Earth, so I gotta turn my page around like that. And now, here's Earth. I'm standing on it. I'm looking at the moon. I'm just gonna kind of cover the half I don't see. And you can see a little sliver is lit up on the left. That is how we would draw it. A little sliver lit up on the left. Something like maybe that. That's a terrible drawing, but whatever. And that's called the old crescent or the waning crescent. Okay, so more moon phase review today. Another thing, remember tides. We talked about tides. Tides are whenever the sun, the earth, and the moon are lined up. So position 1 and position 5 would have high tides. And then the low tides are when the moon, the earth, the moon, the earth, and the sun are at right angles. So 3 and 7 would have low tides in this picture. Eclipses can only happen at position 1 and position 5 when they're all lined up. Okay, so hopefully this all helps you. You're going to get a practice sheet today, and then I will give you further instructions after that. Have a good day, stay in, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.